Let's see, today is Friday, March 21st, and it should be sugaring season, but it's too cold this morning. And I'm here in Rooseveltown with Mr. Dean George, who has been identified here at Akwesasne as one of the tradition bearers in their maple sugaring practice. And Mr. George is going to speak to me a little bit about his experience and some of the tradition here at Akwesasne of sugaring. So, you were telling me when I first got here about how you do these demonstrations and education programs for the kids. So you've got a sugar bush that's in Hogansburg, a ways back.
Yeah.
And then you have a little demonstration presence down. And where's that, the demonstration?
It's in Hogansburg too. In Mohawk, we call it Junguanadillos. It's a nice place to farm, and that's where I have my sugar bush. And at the same time, and when that's all done, we jump into farming. So it's kind of like how would you say that? Educational site to go and watch things being grown and work, in a traditional way.
Yeah. What kind of things do you grow for the farming?
Yeah, the main things in our culture is corn, beans, and squash. We call that the Three Sisters because in the old days we used to plant them together. So the kids can see how that works. And at the same time, I guess they did a lesson behind it. It teaches them how we're supposed to work together, because the plants are intertwined. That's how we're supposed to work together and get along. So most of our things that we do, it's not just farming. There's a lesson behind it. Just like maple sugar, it's a time to regroup everybody and start talking and get ready for spring now.
Now, you said that traditionally this would have been done in the Mohawk Valley, right? The community would have
together. We always had a village here, but it was a fishing village, But our people came through Mohawk Valley, but during the War of 1812 and after all that, and what do you call it? I don't know if you want to call it the erosion of the settlers. They came in and kind of pushed everybody out. So most of the people came here, and some moved to other different communities. But we still carry our tradition on, But that was always done in Mohawk Valley too. But we have a community out there now that moved back to Mohawk Valley. A guy called Tom Porter.
Tawny has actually given Tom Porter an award for that.
Yeah, and he's out there trying to work things out too again.
And one of our board members, actually, Emily Tarbell, has been living down there.
Yeah.
She's on the board where I work.
Yeah. And that's kind of, he plants corn, he does, I don't think he does maple sugar yet, because he's been up here and he want to know how to work things out. So hopefully in the future we can send somebody down there and get them going.
Yeah.
But probably the weather difference from there to here. So.
Yeah, they may be able to sugar down there right now.
I know because my brother lives in Oneida, New York, and he's already tapping. He said there's no snow.
Huh? Isn't that terrific?
Yeah.
Now, how many of you here at Akwesasne are really primarily carrying on this tradition?
Well, it varies because in Akwesasne we always had our traditional government and then later on there was two other governments that were brought into our community, which is I don't know, it's how would you call it? Some people call it colonialism, whatever. But it was never really welcomed by the people, but it's there, so our people dealt with it, and it's still there today. But it varies. Out of about 4,000 people, I don't know, probably about maybe half of that trying to carry on the tradition. The other ones just going out and do their thing now.
And are there three of you who are producing sugar for the Longhouse and all of that?
Yeah, the three. It's important that we do this because in our ceremonies, we have to use everything that's natural, and maple sugar is natural. But to go back to the creation side of the story, when the Creator made Earth, he made all these beautiful things for him, and we call them as gifts. He gave us his gift. So how do you take care of that gift? How do you pass it on? So that's what we do, and we always thinking of the young people when we do these things to bring them in and get them involved, and that's how we pass it on. Not by putting it in TV or something. Actually, getting them out there and feeling it. That's the whole part of it. So when you feel it, it means more to you. It might be a little hard work, but hard work's good for you. Can't always take the easy road. Yeah.
Do you have vivid memories of being a kid and being part of these sugaring days?
I grew up in a part of the reserve where mainly with basket making. But if you went out in the other part where there's fields and everything, then that was maple sugar. But when I grew up, it was mostly people were making baskets. Huh?
And what part of the community is that? Where is that?
It's called the village of St. Regis. In Mohawk, we call it Ganadago. And when you used to get up in the morning, the first thing you would hear was somebody boom, boom, boom. That's somebody pounding the black ash. Because to make splint, you got to pound that black ash, right? And that splint comes up.
Uh-huh.
Then you take that splint and then you soak it. Then you start your basket.
Right.
But that was a real big when we were young. It's still here today, but it's not strong like it used to. That's where I grew up. But growing up even more, when I used to travel, I used to see elders making syrup.
You know, I find that really interesting. We actually have done some work with basket makers here at Akwesasne, and I happen to own a lot of baskets from Akwesasne, especially a lot of Henry Arquette's baskets.
Henry
but I never realized that in your community you had the sense that St. Regis was really the core of the basket making.
Yeah, it was.
And then the sugaring and the other agricultural stuff, that was more out in the open, stuff outside the village.
And then in the village, the other big thing was fishing. Huh?
Uh-huh.
I grew up fishing. You know, we put our nets every spring, and then we go out and go after the fish. We sell it. People come in, we sell it. But when the seaway was built, that stopped. So the whole way of life just. So what happened now that we don't have like a fish product in our system, we get a high rate of diabetes on the reserve. Because that, you know, they call it omega-3 and all that. But I got one brother that's trying to still make a living off fishing. He's probably the only one left.
Now, were you selling the fish mostly to people here at Akwesasne, or were you selling it to white people living out in the other communities?
Yeah. At that time, you didn't have to leave. They would come in and look for it.
Uh-huh.
They like the sturgeon, they would take the eggs and sell it to New York City. But people would always come in and buy it and everything. But that now you drive along, we don't see anybody doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Because the river, I don't know, a lot of PCBs and everything else. It's sad. But I was fishing yesterday for walleye. We still eat it. Seems clean, the walleye, but I guess the bottom feeder like sturgeon, that's the ones that really you got to stay away from. Because everything settles on the bottom feed.
Yeah.
So.
Now, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
29. No, I'm 52.
So it's in the last 50 years that you've seen.
Well,
this
the seaway
change.
opened in 1956. So I was just growing up when I seen the things happen. I remember going to the St. Lawrence River. We'd take our big barrels and drink. We used to drink from the water. Certain parts of that river was sweeter than the other, and we used to drink from that. But then I remember one day I went to there was an old man at a pump pumping water, and then I went over there, got water. He says, "One day you're going to be buying that." I said, we ain't going to buy that. Saw water all around it. Here we are today buying water.
I know.
So what did that tell us? You know, like when I go back to the gifts that the Creator gave us, you know, it says we have to take care of these things. I mean, what does that tell us? In 50 years, everything changed. Now we're buying the water, everything.
And we can't eat the fish.
Yeah, can't eat the fish.
And it's harder to get trees for the baskets.
Yeah. So we go further north to get black ash now.
Yeah. So do you consider, even though you honor and maintain many of your community's traditions, do you consider that you are kind of the specialist in maple sugar? That's your particular role in the community?
No, I just figure, to me, it's just, I don't know, I don't consider myself any different than anybody else. It's just a thing that I like to do and like to get people involved, you know. Because it's fun to get out there, you know. It's really fun than just hanging around the house or nothing, you know. You're out there all the time. But at that time, we do a lot of spearing and fishing. We have fish fries while we're there, everything, you know. Everything goes on. People come over, and they're always nosy about what's going on. So then they start talking. So it goes on and on.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, how many gallons do you get a year?
I get between, mine ain't too big, I get about between maybe 70 and 100. Mm-hmm. Most of it is used for ceremonial purposes. Then the people that actually come out, then we give them syrup. Yeah.
And do you use the old-fashioned method of buckets at each tree?
Yeah, I use buckets. Then when I get in the woods, I use them 5-gallon plastic containers because they're easy to get around here because we have a water treatment plant. So I use the 5 gallons. And with the 5 gallons, it has a cap on. So you don't have to check it all the time, and the bugs and the rain can't get in.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Then
Nice. We just go there every other day and dump it, and then go back. But right now, the weather has been so weird. You don't want to put them up too soon, because if you put them up, what happens is you get a big piece of ice. Then how do you take the ice out of there? You got to take every jug back.
That's right. Yeah, and your sugar your evaporator is right in the middle of the sugar bush
Yeah,
there?
yeah. It's right in the middle of my sugar shack, you know. Pretty good. I had it specially designed so the kids can come in and look at it. Because my other buddy that does it, his can make a gallon an hour, but the kids can't look at it. So mine is always designed for cultural things. The kids can look at it and, you know, experience different things with it. Then we take them in the woods and show them different things. Yeah.
So it's all part of an interconnected
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Because on the reserve, our tradition, we call it, I grew up going to the church at first, but while I was growing up, I hung around a lot of the elders that was still carrying on the tradition. So I wound up what they call the Longhouse. The Longhouse is a traditional way of life. And their goal is the same thing as I do today, is to keep that tradition alive. Whether it's through baskets, fishing, everything, you know. So what we did years ago, in 1980, we started our own school called the Akwesasne Freedom School. And they're taught immersion from pre-K all the way up. So our job is to go in there, even though not teach, I mean like, you know, certified teacher, but we go in there and teach the cultural part. And then we can take them out and teach them too at the same time. And a lot of it, this is relates to ceremonies, you know. We have about 9 big ceremonies out of the whole year that involve everything. This one is, we had one in what we call midwinter. We have another ceremony. For the maple, we do 2 ceremonies. One ceremony involves going up to the tree, talking to it, and burning tobacco, and that's how we relate to it. And we ask that tree that everybody be safe at that time when they're doing maple sugar, so nothing falls on them or they get burnt. You know. Then about 3/4 of the way through, we do the bigger ceremony, which involves everything, you know. But what we do at that ceremony, we don't take the syrup, we take the sap. We take about 4 pounds of sap, then everybody drinks that, and then they stand up and they give their thanks to acknowledge that it came back to us for another year, because in our tradition it says we have to be careful. If we don't respect these things, then a lot of things will disappear. So
I would imagine, given what's happening in our world and our climate,
yeah.
that reinforces your feeling. That,
yeah, it does. It has to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about if we cut all the trees and everything warms up? You know, that's what they got to understand. You know.
So that there's that first ceremony asking for a blessing for no one to be hurt, where you go up to the tree. There's the second ceremony where you drink the sap, and you said that involves everything. Are you talking about some of the other? Yeah,
all our songs are involved in that one. Everything. We got certain songs that we bring into the ceremony that acknowledges all the things around us. Right? And that's still carried on today. You know, people say, well, all these natives got, you know, integrated or whatever, but our tradition is still alive. And there's always something they're trying to, you know, push it, but we say no.
Now, is maple sugar or maple syrup always part of the ceremonies,
yes,
whatever they are?
Is, yeah. All year round.
All year round.
Because when you go to a ceremony, what they do is most everyone they pass strawberry drink. Because in our tradition, in the beginning of the time, strawberry was the first fruit on the year. So we honor the strawberry. The first berry to come out in the new year. So when you make your strawberry juice, you sweeten it up with maple sugar.
That must be good.
Yeah. See, this one would be maple ceremony. The next will be seed ceremony. We get ready for the garden, and that's mostly a woman's ceremony. She's in charge of all that. She has her nice songs and everything, because they're in charge. Because the women are life givers, just like seed, you know. Then after that would be the strawberry, you know. So everything intertwines.
Oh, do you need to get that?
No, I think my daughter's. Oh,
Okay.
that phone's right there.
All right, let me just put this on pause, if I can remember how to pause it.
Hello.
Okay, we were just admiring your grandchild.
Oh, yeah. First one, yeah.
First one, and you've got 2 daughters and a son, you said. Yeah. But going back to the maple sugar, you were telling me earlier that in earlier times it would not have been liquid like this, the way we think of liquid syrup. It would have been...
It'd be like a hard candy. Yeah. Then they would put it in birch bark or elm bark, because we used to have a lot of elms in them days, and that's our Longhouse was made out of elm bark. Then they would just cover that and pat it and put it away with our mice and stuff like that. So whenever they're ready to use it, they would just break off a piece and put it there. Because that's all the sugar they had. They didn't have candy or nothing at that time. That's all they had with this. Or if they were in the woods and they found a honey tree, I have found that a few times.
You have? You've actually
Yeah.
found honey in
Yeah.
the woods?
Bees, inside a log. Then you just go in there with a pail, but you never take all of it because you just take about half, then take it home.
Yeah.
Put it next to your wood stove and just let it drip. And it drips in the pail.
Now you fuel your sugar shack with wood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get most of my wood out of the Amish because they have slab wood. Now I don't use the hardwood. It takes it's too hard to maintain the heat. Then what happens? Hardwood leaves a big coal, so you're stuck with all them coals at the end of the day, red hot. Where slab wood, you can just throw it in and keep burning, and it doesn't leave no coal. Burns real hot too. So that's how I make my syrup using slab wood. Yeah. Then there's a few meals here that I always can provide you with that. If you use hardwood, then it gets harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were actually saying earlier that you have a lot of interaction with the Amish and the Mennonite
Yeah.
communities, and you might get vegetables from them in
Yeah,
exchange for
fish or baskets. We can bring baskets to them and exchange back and forth. Yeah.
That's nice, and there are more of them moving in around here, aren't
Yeah.
there?
Years ago, they kind of start moving out because of the taxes. Taxes were too high, but it seems like they're all coming back for some reason.
Because the taxes are still high, but maybe not compared to other places now.
Pennsylvania and all that.
Now, is there anything different about the way you produce syrup compared to, your average sugar producer?
The only thing different is probably the cultural knowledge. I mean, I think most syrup places we all do the same thing, but most other places probably to make a profit off. Mine ain't there to make a profit. Mine is to make syrup for the Longhouse and to make sure a ceremony has enough and to pass on that knowledge. That's what it's all about. Yeah, I went to a few workshops and I sat there and they break it down to the penny, how much money can be made off and everything. But I said, I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to find different ideas all the time.
Yeah. Now the syrup that's sitting on your table here looks like amber. Is that would that be considered grade A in the syrup industry?
Yeah, because the first boil is always the lightest, because your pan's still clean, everything. But as you boil, over time, you still build up a bacteria and it gets darker and darker. But it all tastes the same.
So does it matter for the sake of your ceremony whether you use the lighter stuff or the darker stuff?
No, don't matter. The only reason, if you sell it, then everybody wants the light stuff. But for ceremonies, it's all the same. It don't matter. Yeah, because it tastes the same. It just has the build up of bacteria after.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful looking at it.
I try to stick with glass. Glass seems like the cleanest. My buddy uses plastic jugs, but then if you don't do it right, then you can taste the plastic. Then we've been using canning jars too because this gets expensive after. Canning jars, you can go buy 12 or whatever. Then you could use them over and over.
Yeah. So the canning jars instead of these fancier syrup bottles.
Yeah, we'll buy maybe a few boxes of each just to show it. But most everything goes in the canning jars. Nice.
Yeah. So what do you do in a year like this where it's so late? I mean, you just have to go with the weather, and whenever it happens, it happens.
But Mother Nature rules. There's nothing you can do. But I see people out there tapping, but I think them are the ones that are using the hose, then they're pumping it right out. But I don't think they're getting a lot. Because I went down Canton last week, and the guy didn't have a full tank on his.
Would you ever consider using a method with the plastic tubing and all of that?
Probably not. I don't know. Depends. Maybe in the future. Because there were some Indians out from Maine that wanted us to get going. And they got like 20,000 maples. And maybe that would be used. Because how do you, go after 20,000 pails?
Yeah. Are they doing that as a small business then?
No, maybe. But they wanted us to go to help them set up. But they haven't got back to us yet. They have like 20,000 maples. Then you would use the hose.
How many trees do you have in your?
I have about 200 maple trees, and lately I've been doing about 70, 100, and that's pretty good for me. Yeah. And it's pretty reliable too with just using 100. You're not over harvesting or nothing. Yeah.
Right, so that you can rotate, not always tap the same trees.
Yeah. But in the wood that I'm using, there's sugar maple, then there's red maple and black maple. But I tap all three. But the sugar maple is the best stuff.
Now, do you actually own those woods, or do you have an agreement to use
Yeah,
them?
yeah. Well, neighbors. So we agreed, and when it's all over, we go to the house. We give them syrup, man. So that's the way it's been going. You know, as long as you go in there and you respect it, you don't dig up the ground, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the best method I use right now is I'm using a Ranger. Because you can put your container in the back, go in the boat, unload it, take off.
Yeah.
And the Ranger don't tear up everything. But I was actually thinking of getting a workhorse and going in.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Because I worked with horses when I was younger, and nothing to them, you know. It's just the traffic. You have to go through Hooga now. That's the only thing.
Uh-huh.
But maybe in the future it'll be something nice.
Now, we're talking to you, Mr. George, about maybe coming down to the Adirondack History Center in Elizabethtown to talk about maple sugaring.
Mm-hmm.
And what kinds of things would you want an audience, you know, a general audience, people who don't know anything about it, who aren't part of your tradition, what do you think are the most important things for them to know?
As Native people, I don't know, they got a TV and whatever. It hasn't been nice to our people, you know what I mean? John Wayne and all them things. But to understand that we're still here, we're still Native, you know, and we're still carrying on our tradition. And once we learn from each other as neighbors, then we learn to respect each other instead of letting the government or everybody, you know, talk for us. We shouldn't do that, you know. We have to learn about each other, because in the old days, when the European brothers got here, we made a wampum belt. And in this wampum belt, it had two lines on it, two rows. But they don't hit each other. They just go parallel to each other. And what that made is we're supposed to live side by side, but not to throw anything out on each other, you know. That's the way it should be, you know. We respect you and you respect us. To me, don't let the government tell you what to do. Use your own mind, you know. That's what it's all about. Then we can share that tradition. But it hasn't been, you know, we all respected that. But in the European brother, he hasn't done it. If you go on the reserve, we have how many different kind of denominations. And that doesn't belong to us, that belongs to them. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
But they're always trying to convert us.
Mm-hmm.
When we got our own tradition, that's what's the problem on the reserve right now. Huh? They're trying to convert us. You got more than one, you know, you got Baptist, Methodist, you know. Then you got a traditional Longhouse, you know what I mean? Then after that, you got two foreign governments, what we call the Tribal Council and the MTA. The people never wanted them here, they were forced in there. So when you force something on somebody, that's not right, you know.
Now, when you said earlier that maybe half the people here maintain the tradition, the other half go their own way, were you just referring to the maple sugaring practice, or were you in general
the whole reserve,
traditional?
yeah. A lot of our people have been really educated, but when you get too far educated, you lose the whole idea of this, huh? You know, it's got to be in your heart to do this, huh? Everything's got to be in your heart.
Now, do you feel hopeful because of the Freedom School?
Yeah, I do, yeah, because we can pass a lot of traditions on, huh? Especially in language-wise. Because I was brought up when I was younger, I was one of what they call product of a residential school, where they pulled you from your family and put you in a residential school, so hopefully you would lose everything. Huh? But it's funny, I always came back and I wound up with the elders. Now here I am sitting here, I'm an elder.
That's
I'm
right.
passing this on, yeah.
And I'm coming to you to learn about it.
Yeah. See, the only thing I don't feel good about is I'm not fluent in my language, but I can speak here and there. But someday I hope I can fluent. But we are working on that, to work with elderly people, you know. We have, most of our elders can speak, and people that are a little older than me can speak. But there's a generation lost in there that don't speak, you know.
Yeah.
And that language is everything. If you lose that language, they tell us we lose all our ceremonies because you can't do them in English and everything, so it's important. And you know, for the outside to understand that and respect it, you know, we're not there to take land. We're not here. We just want to maintain our culture, identity, and that's who we are. Mm-hmm. And to live side by side with each other, huh? But the government turns everything around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like if you go on the reserve, you got a casino. That's not our way. Because they told us years ago there's things that our European brothers are going to bring that belongs to him, and you know what I mean. If we grab that stuff, it's going to bring turmoil in the community. And one is alcohol, you know, it's in everybody's community. One is, what do you call it? They used to say in the old days, they brought their violin. But that violin don't belong to us. You know, we got our own songs. And the other one is a deck of cards. Whether the deck of cards represent any form of gambling now, and that's what's happening. And the other one is the Bible. I mean, you know, some people, you know, that's theirs, that's not ours, you know. But they've been forced on us. Now some white people got into it. Now they're, well, we still have our tradition that we carry on today. And that's, you know, it's trying to stay closest to nature as we can now and respect it. Because when you disrespect nature, we see what's happening out west and everything, you know, floods and everything, you know. We have to get back into that. That's the only way.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about the fiddles being the European instrument, and for you here at Akwesasne, it would be the drums and rattles.
Yeah, the rattle, drum and rattle.
Yeah.
And in ceremony, we have what we call a turtle rattle. It's made out of a turtle shell with a long neck, and we would beat that on the bench. And that turtle represents Mother Earth and all creation now. But they say when you hit that turtle, that vibration goes into the earth. So all living things understand that we're still carrying on that tradition that was given to us from the beginning of time. And none of our ceremonies are man-made. It was passed on from the beginning of time. So how did we keep that strong? We haven't written down. Just lately it's been written down. But, you know, to doing maple sugar, to doing gardens, and always encourage them young people to do it, you know.
Now, you were talking earlier about the education that you do at Junguanadeo.
Yeah, Junguanadeo.
How much of an impact does that have? That's different than the Freedom School, right?
Yeah. What I do is the Freedom School goes there, but they got, you know, the other schools in the community, they all bring their...
okay. So it's kind of like the museum arm of the Freedom School. Yeah.
But like I'm a culture teacher too, but some of the schools they can't go in, so I go into schools, bring my stuff in the school and explain stuff to them.
That's great. And what about the cultural center with Sue Ellen? Do you do programs there? Or?
Well, I used to. I used to pound log for her for black ash, and I do sweetgrass picking for her. And yeah, we used to do a lot of maintenance and different things inside the museum for her too.
So that you would go out and actually pick the sweetgrass for basket makers?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I know about the men pounding the logs, but
Yeah,
I didn't
well,
realize that
it's
some of you would help with the sweetgrass
Yeah.
too.
It's not only a woman thing; it's a man thing.
Yeah.
It's like basket. The women usually make the fancy ones, because their fingers are a little narrower. The men usually make the laundry basket and a pack basket, the wider split.
Now, have you ever been interested in making baskets?
I started to when I was young, but what happened, I wind up in later on in residential school, because if you go on a reserve ball, every grandparent on a reserve made baskets at one time or next. So that was really strong at that time. But later on, when our people start sending our kids to school, they start losing a lot of that tradition. But it's still going on today. But me, I started out with my uncle. He made baskets. He played lacrosse, did everything. Fish.
Who was your uncle?
His name was Angus George.
Angus George,
Yeah, he's a famous lacrosse player in the 30s.
Really?
Yeah.
And did he make the sticks too?
Yeah, and he made his own boat.
Did he make the spoties then?
Yep.
So, for the record here, since this is a tape recording, I'm looking at a photograph of Angus George in a boat, and that's on the St. Lawrence River?
Yep.
What a terrific photograph.
Right on the St. Lawrence.
That's terrific. What a great photograph. And of course, lacrosse is a Native American game, isn't it?
It started out as it started out as a medicine game, huh? See that thing right there? He was a famous lacrosse player.
Isn't that terrific? Who's this up here?
That's my daughter, the baby. She's 20-something
now. Oh, what
now.
a cutie. You've got beautiful children in your
family. And this is my grandmother.
Oh, beautiful.
She was a basket maker. She was a seer, too.
And what is her name?
Her name was Susan George.
Susan George.
But everybody has a native name, but going through the education process, we were given English names.
Yeah.
But this generation starting to turn that around. Like none of my kids have English names. They all got Mohawk names.
Do you use your Mohawk name usually?
I try, but sometimes you get lazy, so you go back.
What is your Mohawk name?
It means Sokoyat Diosta. Something about bodies. Oyata means body. Making bodies look nice. Yeah, that's my grandmother.
That's a great photograph. She's in a rocking chair and she's got the pipe.
Well, pipe in her mouth, yeah. She made baskets.
Do you have any of them?
No, my sister's got a bunch, I guess. I don't have much. But a lot of my baskets that I collect, I give it to Sue to put in the display. Because sometimes you go to garage sales and you find them.
Yeah.
You know, people don't know, oh, look at this.
They have a
Like that.
terrific collection over at the museum. Now, how would you describe this boat? Is it a punt? I'm not sure what kind of boat you would call that.
I don't know what you call it, but it was made out of pine and stuff, and it was mainly used for fishing. Maybe because it had a narrow front, it can cut the water quick. And you would take your net, you would put it over the boat.
Oh, really?
So then you would take the fish off, then you could just throw the net back over.
Oh, so he's got a spear in his hand there then. Is that a spear?
Spear or an oar. Yeah.
But he would have been, when he was fishing, would he mostly have been spearing the fish?
No, mostly netting.
Oh, he would have been netting.
Yeah,
okay.
But they did do spearing in the spring. But most of it was net. I started stringing up net with him too. He made his own nets and everything too.
He did? Oh, that's wonderful. What would he use for making the nets?
Just he would send it away out of Texas, called a nylon rope. Then he would string it all together, then we go out and put it in.
Wow.
But he's passed on now, but he know everything, that guy.
Yeah.
He was an iron worker too. Made nets, he did trapping. See what happened on the reserve in early 1900s, there wasn't a lot of wood here, Trees were all cut down. So in the wintertime, our people would go to maybe up to down around that to cut wood, and a lot of them would go into Canada. And then they would set up, and they would make baskets for a living. And they would barter sometimes, go to the farmer, I'll give you a basket for meat. But it had to be done that way because they had no way to keep themselves warm. There was no wood. In the springtime, they would come back to reserve and put their gardens in. A lot of them went up to the Adirondacks and did lumbering.
And then when did the steelworking come in?
I think the late 1800s. Yeah. Then once it started progressing, everybody took off, went all over.
And that's still very common here, isn't it?
Yeah.
For people to go work in the steel.
Yeah. Most of the guys from here go to New York City.
And I guess it's actually called ironwork. It's not really called steelwork.
It is dangerous. A few years back it was real dangerous. Every job you went on, you expect somebody not to come back. It's all dangerous. But now they got so much safety now.
Yeah.
You have to be hooked on every time you move. Before it was all daredevil.
That's unbelievable to me. I'm so scared of heights. I can't even imagine that.
I used to do it for a while, but then I came back and I figured, we got to work with culture. We'll work with these young people, and that's what I do today.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I think you've brought up so many interesting things. I might want to come back and talk to you again sometime. Would that be all right?
Yeah. Maybe the time we come back, we'll be at the Sugar Shack.
Okay, that would be great if you wouldn't mind that. But is there anything else today that you'd like to talk about?
No, I don't know if we covered everything.
And you're lending me a book, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's called When the Sugar Bird Sings.
And this bird that we talk about, it probably would be the robin. In Mohawk, we call him Jishkogo. Robin is the first bird to come back, and he kind of tells you spring is right around the corner. When that happens, we have songs for him too, that we sing for that bird. Yeah, he's the first one to come around to tell us spring's right around the corner. And people are telling me they're starting to see them. So
I saw one yesterday in Canton, so that's heartening.
Yeah. But everything we do, we try to relate it to nature, to respect it, so the kids understand that, So it don't turn out like a material world,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to get back to nature and spirituality and all that,
And that's probably part of the reason that you have a nice exchange with the Amish and the Mennonites, because their world is not material based.
Reality, also. I think that's the way we're supposed to be living. And they learned a lot of stuff from us. If you look at the Amish doll, what do you see? What do you notice?
It has no face on it.
Right. When our people, the same idea, no face. Because they say when you do that, you can actually might be able to bring something alive. It can be good or bad. And that's just what our way. When our people made a cornhusk doll, they had no face.
Oh, that's another tradition here, actually. Is anybody still doing that?
Oh, yeah. There's still a lot of people making cornhusk dolls here, And then they take them into different things and they sell them. But we do a lot of, most of it corn. We do a lot of corn, beans, and squash planting. Because with that corn, it's everything. We use that corn in our ceremony, and we use the husk to make dolls, and it's medicine. It's everything. It's part of our tradition, the corn, beans, and squash.
Do you grow a garden for your own use?
Yeah. Well, what we got is we're working for a company called Heifer International, and that's what we're setting up. The different places do gardens, everything.
Oh, that's great.
And bring all the kids out there and show them how it's all done now.
Very nice.
Yeah. The good thing is try to get them out of school. Some schools you can, some schools you can't. Well, the Freedom School you can. You give them a day notice and you go do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I interviewed Bear Fox last year, and she was talking about how her children are so fluent in Mohawk that she'll use them as translators.
Yeah, they were brought up in the Freedom School. But we're trying to set it up now where guys like my age can go there for a while and start picking up the basics.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to look forward to talking to you about all of this more, and I appreciate that you let me interview you on the spur of the moment like this.
Yeah, well, okay then.
Okay.
Yeah, then the next time we'll probably be out in the bush.
That sounds good.
Oh yeah, hopefully if the weather's permitting.
Okay, great.